Hello guys and welcome to today's video. We are going to be following Mr. Hobin Rood and he's going to be on a quest for this series. So on this series, Hobin, our hero, is going to be trying to retake his home of Jaculan, and it's basically going to act as his home base. And unlike his brother Robin, he is not just going to steal from the rich to give to the poor. He's also going to be taking for himself. But the main idea of today's challenge is that Hobin is going to be collecting up looters and brigands and all those wonderful people you see dotted around the map in Bannerlord, and he is going to be turning them into his merry men. So he is going to basically be in a situation where he cannot, even with the correct perks, he's not going to be able to upgrade them into a proper military. Instead, he is going to be going through and he is going to be trying to build an army as best as he can. So we rode east and eventually we found a bandit of 4 looters and we died. Well, not died, we got knocked unconscious and taken prisoner. And this is a common trend for the first part of this story. So as I was kind of getting into the feel of things, I'm using new ergonomic mouse and various other bits and pieces due to problems with my hand and arm and chest and all kinds of wonderful things. So it took a little bit of getting used to play with a funny shaped mouse over the the standard of what I'm used to. So instead we started kind of having a look around and I thought, hey, I'll get myself a bow and arrow, and with said bow and arrow I was sort of like, yeah, okay, this is gonna work. And I was feeling really overconfident, and I decided in my infinite wisdom to attack some sea raiders. This unfortunately did not go well, so we were taken prisoner yet again. And eventually we broke out. There was a lot of waiting involved. I wanted to make sure that we were at 100% before we went back and attacked anything. And yet again, I thought I'd be overconfident. And it was around this time that I realized, hey, do you know what? We're using a bow that cannot be used on horseback, which is probably, from other playthroughs I've seen of this style, it's probably the best way to do it when you cannot go and essentially recruit yourself some meat shields at the beginning, which, you know, is understandable. So we went to Dunglanis when we escaped, and I thought, hey, we'll try a tournament. And I really did not think we were going to win, so I didn't start by betting. I kind of left that bit blank. I didn't think it was going to be overly important, and we kind of went in, did the first round. I got overconfident and decided, hey, do you know what? I'm going to, place a wager, a full 50 gold. That's about as much as I could afford at the time. Thankfully, we weren't paying kind of military costs or anything like that. And yeah, we got absolutely decimated in a group round. So I then unlocked the practice fight and we started getting into it. And, it allowed me to level up some of my skills, get a feel for it again. We didn't do it once or twice. I've cut this footage down pretty brutally to, look at that, 2 for 1. And another guy. And I think since I last played it, I think they've added in some new animations, because there is something really satisfying about using the two-handed axe to send people absolutely flying. So, we leveled up in, and I started putting focus points in roguery to help us out. And nope, not 18. That would be a bit too much for us at this point. But anyway, we found 7 guys, and yeah, yet again, I just, for whatever reason, I kept forgetting to get the bow sorted. And I thought, hey, I've trained for this. I'm ready for this. I beat like 20 people in the arena, one at a time. So clearly, I must be really, really good. But don't worry, it does pick up. We do get stronger. Okay, we're going to become a huge power, and the aim of today is to raid a caravan. Okay, it's going to be to take out a caravan. I want this to be just a few episodes in the series because it's a lot of recording to cut down and edit down. They were looking at about like 8 hours of gameplay just for this, and we got a hunting bow. We went, found these 8 guys, but the idea today is to build an army, start kind of like a caravan, and then hopefully it will be a point of, you know, we're going to go through and hopefully be able to wage war and actually eventually build a big enough army to take Jaculan for ourselves. The idea being, you know, the guy that owns it at the moment is going to be our Sheriff of Nottingham, and we are going to be the wonderful Hobin Rood, and we want to take it back. We don't just want to free the people, we want to also, you know, have that city. We want to own that city. So, you know, we did a few more levels. We started getting stuff in bow, in horse riding, you know, in lots of different areas, and it started to slowly become easier. And we even managed to recruit our first 2 looters. Now, these guys are not going to be a staple of the army realistically. They're what we're going to kind of practice the skills, develop the skills on, with the idea that eventually we are going to be in a position where we can get sea raiders, you know, hillmen and forest bandits to comprise the majority of our army, because the sea raiders create a really strong melee combatants, the hillmen eventually become really strong horse combatants, and the archers are so close to the Fians that you can get from Britannia, which are ridiculously powerful, that we're going to want those in our army as well. So we're slowly going to be able to build our band of merry men, work on things like our leadership skill to kind of expand it, grow our clan, the clan of Rood, and, you know, we're going to be in a strong position. Now, I did try kind of the blunt weapons and charging by, but it just really wasn't working when it was just me. Even when we got those 2 looters, they did not last long. So eventually I just started buying more and more and more arrows, and this was seemingly working really well. So we're charging around, we've got a faster horse, we'd stop, we'd turn, and we'd shoot. And, you know, I know what some of you are probably thinking, like, you know, you're just kiting them and firing arrows for hours at a time. But I ask you this, is this not how everyone should play? If Skyrim taught me anything, it's that stealth archery, or in this case long distance archery, is the way forward. You know, we started doing really well and taking out really large bands of looters and getting that bow skill up, which, you know, is a staple of the Rood family. They are renowned bowmen, having been from England. The longbow was their kind of, you know, area. I don't think horseback bow work was their thing, but, you know, who am I to judge by, you know, Hobin's change in traditions? So yeah, so this one was a really fun battle. You know, I have like 50 odd arrows, and this one, well, you'll see, I won't spoil anything. You know, we started shooting them down. We started getting really good at like securing the headshot. So our bow skill was going up in insane amounts at this point. And you can see here, we literally got down to the last arrow. Like, we have, if you look down on the right, for those of you who have never played this before, 1 arrow left. And I had nothing. Like, I literally had like no sword, no club or anything, I don't think, at this. No, I think I did have the club. But I just, my health was low and I really didn't want to risk it. So I kind of, you know, I took the shot, and this was a tense moment, but we did it. We did it. I was not expecting we literally ended with 0 arrows, which was, you know, great fun. But in the end, you can probably see from some of these battles, we're taking like 2 or 3 looter prisoners, and I left it. I wanted to wait until we had like a full prisoner count. I felt that they would have a little bit more durability. They would give me a bit more of a buffer to try and potentially start looking at some of the more tougher bandit factions if I held out and if I waited just that little bit longer before I start recruiting them. And, you know, I still took the chances. At this point, now I had a bow I could fire. Even these guys, Sea Raiders, who are pretty durable. I mean, I had like 80 odd arrows every time we're going to combat at this point. So we did it. We managed to defeat them. We didn't capture any. But, you know, we got a small band or army of looters that were working really well for us. And then people started to run from us because we became powerful, I suppose. Yeah, so we started tracking down things like hillmen, you know, looters, Sea Raider, anything we get our hands on, because we're trying to build wealth as well, right? We want there to be wealth. We want there to be a good amount of money available. These guys don't take a lot of money. I'll be honest, that's what kind of shocked me the most. We weren't taking a lot of money. We were eating a wide range of food. We managed to keep our morale fairly high because you lose like 2 morale every time you recruit a prisoner. And obviously, naturally, when we got our bow to a certain point, it was between mounted archery, which would have been the better one, and merry men. But I felt to fit in the theme of this challenge, merry men was probably the most important thing that we could have taken. So merry men is what we took, and as you can see, we got to 16 troops, started getting like Sea Raider chiefs, hillmen. So eventually the idea is that we're going to phase out the looters completely. We didn't need them. Okay, they weren't important in my eyes. They were a means to an end. But the idea is, you know, we're getting riding up, we're getting bow up, we're getting roguery up. Other skills were becoming kind of, you know, more important. But as you see, we started building like a pretty good central core, them being the Sea Raiders. And then we decided that, or I decided that we needed a Friar Tuck, if you will. So we got our Lauren Ironbelly. I felt that it was a good matchup. It was a good idea. So we took Lauren on just because I felt, you know, it was really important. We started developing the clan, which you need to hire a companion to get that first level of the clan. So for me, it was really important at that point that we had someone so that we could start basically holding more troops. Because if we want to take Jaculan eventually, we're gonna need troops. Okay, we're gonna need people that can come in and you know, soak up stuff for us. And you know, we may even need to start thinking about retraining and getting a bit more, maybe going on our feet and giving ourselves like an axe, two-handed axe, just because we're going to run out of arrows in a siege, right? So we eventually got there. We decided to attack this caravan, and I wanted to start the war. We had a sizable army at this point. You know, I started doing trick shots while I waited for them all to get in place. It does make a big difference, waiting for your army to get in place. And, you know, I thought this was going to be a lot harder, right? But I've left the full battle in here because I felt like, for me, this was the climax of this episode. Our first kind of attack on caravans, you know, to start thinking about it. You know, these are the wealthy traders of England in this scenario, and we want to take back our town. So it's time to start, you know, attacking caravans and building a level of, I suppose, hostility from Jaculan. And I think it the Empire of no, not Saga. I can never remember the names of the different factions. I remember Botanians, and that's about it. The ones next to them, you know. So we wanted them to essentially wage war on us. Now, I'm not sure if I can't do that if I'm not a mercenary or if I'm not part of another faction. We'll have to check that out, because after this battle, you'll see nothing seems to change. Now, I don't know if that's a glitch. I would have thought they would have at least become hostile to us to a degree. I don't know, though. So it might be that I have to do some research on that. Maybe we need to level up the clan a bit more, or potentially we need to really push ourselves out and do something a bit drastic and join a different faction. Ideally, I'd like to make my own faction, which I would just call the Merry Men. You know, we are merry. The faction is predominantly men. Although I haven't checked every Sea Raider, Hillman, and you know, Forest Bandit individually. I'm pretty sure, because it's meant to be a medieval simulation. Other than, I think you can get peasants that then become camp followers and shield maidens and stuff. Other than that, I think, yeah, so merry men is fitting in this scenario. But as you see, we were doing pretty well. You know, I was quite surprised. I thought, I get it, even with a big band of you know, people that are never going to be able to be trained military from the Empire or Britannia or whatever, I thought we might potentially struggle a bit more, and we didn't. We were a lot more. I think if we ever go up against an army, yeah, we're gonna struggle a hell of a lot more. But I think at this stage, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, technically, I said at the start we'd be using prisoners. However, I am limiting that to just prisoners from bandit factions. So, for example, we got quite a few prisoners from this attack. However, they are to be taken and basically ransomed, because I didn't really want to be in a situation where where I was taking them on, because again I was like, well, the second we start fighting armies, we're going to have trained army units again, and that's kind of going to be against kind of the playthrough and or the challenge, the spirit of the challenge, right? So yeah, so we did it. We got there. Last guy down, or charging in to be down, excuse me. But other than that, we did fairly well. I'm really happy with this challenge so far, and I'm excited to kind of keep it going. We got lots more challenges on the channel coming. I have just been on holiday, which is why there was a bit of a gap, but I'm hoping to be able to post pretty much every week one episode. That's my aim, that's my goal. And I'm hoping that you guys have really liked this one and enjoyed it as much as I did, essentially. I thought it was absolutely great fun. It was a real challenge, especially the beginning where I just kept getting knocked on my ass. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.